Hi, everybody. It's Patty here with Widget's Way, and I just want to welcome you all to our Wednesdays with Widget. Have some new news for you today, a little bit of information for you, a couple of things, and we have a wonderful guest speaker, Kristy Kelly, who I will let talk about her experience levels and the ongoing volunteer work she still does with our local crime-free housing and our sheriff's departments and things of that nature. So without hesitation, let's go ahead and introduce Kristy Kelly, and then we'll talk about key points in the industry we're dealing with today and have a lovely little conversation, if you guys will. If you have questions, please go ahead and type them in as usual in our questions and answers, and our moderator will read those to us as we get a little bit further into our conversation today, if you will. And then we'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you. So please, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kristy Kelly, and go ahead, Kristy.
Good morning or afternoon now. I'm Kristy Kelly. I've been in the industry for 17 years. I started when I was 5, so I'm still really young. I started with BRE Property Management. My smallest property was 366 units. When I dual-sided, I had over 7. So I've done all the fun stuff you all do on a day-to-day basis. Through my career, I have done a little bit of everything from the vendor side to working for the California Apartment Association, Greater Los Angeles. And then I was blessed enough to land a training position with Beachfront Property Management, where I currently am employed, and I absolutely love being able to help people. As Patty mentioned, I do still do a lot of volunteer work with the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program throughout San Bernardino and Riverside counties. I also sit on the planning committee for Riverside Fair Housing to plan our annual conference. So look forward to next year. It's going to be a huge one since we had to cancel this year, unfortunately, due to COVID. Anything else?
Canceled because of COVID. Do you know how many things we've had to cancel because of COVID?
I know. It's definitely changing the way we're doing business. That's for sure.
Definitely, most definitely. And I thought today that you and I would have a conversation amongst us and let everybody else listen to how we talk about what's going on in this industry and what the challenges we're faced with. And then we'll go ahead and open to questions and answers. So first and foremost, I know a couple weeks ago, we talked very heavily about Assembly Bill 828 and how in the course of an eviction, what they were trying to do is say that the tenant could file a motion if they were affected by COVID-19 and then force us as a landlord to continue tenancy for another 12 months and reduce the rent by 25%. Now, we're all fighting that like cats and dogs. Good job, guys. Keep it up. Because we don't want that as a challenge for us as property managers and as homeowners. But now we have a Senate Bill 929 that's taking the next step forward into becoming law. And I just wanted to touch, I know that's a commercial-based assembly bill. It's probably one of the only commercial-based bills that I've seen in quite some time. You have to remember that fair housing doesn't necessarily apply to a commercial tenant because it doesn't provide housing. So they have to have something to protect them. So this new Senate bill that we're looking at, 929, it is involving commercial tenants, and it's saying that basically commercial tenants are gonna be able to break their leases if they were victims of COVID, is what that all circling about. And they don't really have anything to protect them. Can you imagine if you owned a business, you were on the verge of bankruptcy anyway and trying to make it work, and then COVID hits? What are you gonna do? You know, you can't be sucked in for 5 years. It's just not ethical. So what are your thoughts on that, Kristy? Do you think that this is a decent bill?
I think it's a decent bill. I think all bills need a little bit of tweaking. As you know, coming from the apartment association realm, most bills need to be tweaked at least 5 to 7 times before they're approved. So hopefully there'll be some tweaking. We're in uncharted waters. This is something we've never experienced. So we're just kind of swimming through it. So it'll be interesting to see what the final result is going to be.
So I've been informing to everybody because most lawsuits tend to come out of something like this. And I'm not saying most lawsuits in general, but most new lawsuits regarding new laws tend to come out when something like this evolves. And my thoughts are to err on the side of caution, tread gingerly into the water, and not to run and go fight and beat the door down for that rent money, just to kind of stand back. I mean, we're hearing the numbers coming through, saying that 97% of all tenants paid the rent for April and 95% of the tenants paid all the rent for May. So with that being said, we're making all these bills for 5% of the tenant population.
Correct.
You know, that's kind of scary to me, because why are we going to something so extreme for just 5% of our population of tenants? And then I realized, out of that 5%, there's probably 2% that have an actual need, and the other 3%, they just want to test and make sure that we're following the rules and they're getting their rights and what's fair to them. They're challenging the system, if you will. Would you agree with that statement?
I fully agree with that statement, definitely.
And in corporate America, are you seeing the same thing, that your rents are, for the most part, 95% paid?
Yes, we as a company now are collected at 97%. Now, as we move into June, I feel like we're getting into a little more uncharted waters, because we had some folks who were still employed. Now we have some folks who should be able to go back to work. And I mean, let's be realistic, that additional $600 per week on top of the stimulus payments, a lot of our residents are making more money now than they were when they were working. So
My daughter is.
it's kind of, some people will write it out.
Yeah, my daughter's one of them.
My daughter is too. My daughter's making it 2 weeks. Yeah, what she made in a week. But on the flip side, we have residents who have actually told us, I'm not going to pay you because I don't have to. That's not the way the moratoriums are reading. They still have to pay us eventually. I think that's where a lot of the miscommunication is. We actually have
in the city of LA. In the city of LA, they have 12 months to pay that money back. Well, I have no doubt that I have no doubt that they're going to hold the rent for 11 months and 29 days just because they can.
Definitely,
You know,
definitely. We have an entire building. They're so interesting. And part of that moratorium states that they're supposed to notify us within 7 days of the first. A lot of these people aren't notifying us that they can't pay rents. They just assume, because they heard through the news that they don't have to pay rent, that there has to be no communication.
We need we need face masks for our ears to block out the bad news.
Definitely, definitely. We have an entire building in Koreatown that one resident rallied everyone and had them under the impression that they just didn't have to pay rent. Rent was going to be forgiven.
And that, it just floors me, because how would they think that a landlord or a homeowner would be able just to give them free rent?
Right. And I think a lot of them forget that owners and landlords are working as well. A lot of our owners are mom and pop owners who they need to be able to afford to pay their mortgage. And as all of you know, especially in LA, between the trash and water, they're barely breaking even. And then now you have these residents who are manipulating the system, and they're saying, oh, well, I don't have to pay you rent for 12 months. It doesn't matter that I'm making more on unemployment. It doesn't matter that I received the stimulus payment. I'm just not going to pay you any rent. Our owners can't say, hello, Mr. Banker, I can't pay my mortgage payment. Too bad. You're going to have to wait a year. That's not an option for our owners. We need to be able to collect those monies to pay their mortgages and their taxes. Taxes were just due. You didn't see anyone sending out an email. Guess what? No taxes this year. We're going to wait till next year. They still had their wanting our money.
Oh, come on. You mean owners can't just totally say, I can carry this 4 months of rent for 12 months? You don't have those kinds of pockets?
wish.
Right? Right? Me too. So things that we're seeing as trends during all of this, one of the biggest things that I'm seeing and hearing a lot about, and it scares me a bit, and it's something that I'm trying to pay attention to, is work orders across the board are down by 70%. Tenants don't want potential workmen coming and bringing them COVID, if you will. They don't want to be disturbed, or perhaps those that are challenging their rights are waiting until rent becomes scheduled so that they may be able to claim a habitability issue so that rent isn't due. So please, I encourage you, be mindful of that as a tactic. Once the moratorium's lifted, you will be inundated with work orders. Trust and believe that, because they're all back to work. Now they want everything fixed. They've been home for 2 months, so they know about everything that's broken. And we don't want them to be able to use that to their advantage. So if they all of a sudden rent becomes due and they haven't had hot water, you better believe they're going to pull that card. So be ready.
Mm-hmm. They definitely are. We actually sent out work order requests to the building that was refusing to pay rent in Koreatown, and now have documentation that nobody has work request. So that way, when it comes time, if they try to say it's uninhabitable, we can go back to our documentation and show that we offered work request. We use Rent Cafe via Yardi, so we're able to put messages on their home screen. So when they log on to pay rents online, they will see our maintenance team is still working. They're still out there. Now, we do ask that any of our residents who may have been affected by COVID let us know prior to us entering their units, but we're entering with face masks, keeping our distance. We ask that our techs can wash their hands when entering and when leaving. They do have gloves on, but just to have that extra step to keep our team safe as well as our residents safe.
No, most definitely. I couldn't agree more. I see questions coming in. Do we have some questions that we could answer?
We got one so far. I'm sure they'll start flooding in. Do you think some tenants will try to work the system? For example, not pay rent during moratorium plus 12 months and then skip out?
Well, I don't necessarily think they're going to skip out, because they all have to live somewhere. But them exercising their rights to the full capacity, absolutely. Those people that have been challenging us are not going away with COVID-19. In fact, we'll probably get a couple more, just to make sure that we're following the rules. So it's very important that we all know what the rules are so we don't look bad, okay? And when in doubt, err on the side of caution. It's when you go to evict someone in a court of law, you serve a 3-day notice, and on the 4th day, depending on what day you served it on, you're able to then file the complaint with the court. You're then able to start the eviction. That hasn't changed, okay? So if you're serving a notice now for May and you can't evict until July of next year, doesn't it make more sense to serve that notice in July? Just saying. Right now, what are we giving them? The courts aren't even open. So are those threats? Are we telling them to move out under a governmental order to shelter in place? It's better to err on the side of caution. And my rule is no rent increases, no late fees, no termination of tenancy, and don't enforce rent collection. If you stay away from not enforcing rent collection, not enforcing any kind of a late fee right now, and not terminating tenancy, the chances of you skating over this whole snollygoster of all these new laws is very high. So if you just do your normal business as normal, except for those 3 things, the chances of you erring on the side of caution are much higher. Would you agree?
I agree, 100%.
Okay. Thank you, Kristy. Every once in a while, I wonder, is my thinking right? And correct me if I'm wrong. I know you sit on the council for the Department of Fair Housing in Riverside County, but my question becomes, we still haven't heard from Fair Housing over what's a reasonable amount of time to terminate tenancy after a global pandemic. Is that correct?
That is correct. Again,
so
we
don't know.
Waters.
Right. So we don't know if we're going to have to wait 3 months after the stay in place is lifted before we can say we don't want to continue the tenancy anymore. We don't know if we're going to have to wait 6 months. We don't know if we're going to have to wait 12 months. Everything works off of who, what, when, where, and why. We know who, we know where, we know why, we don't know when. So it's really hard to put all the pieces of this together when the when hasn't happened yet. The when is when the shelter in place order is lifted. So just so everybody knows, we're waiting for the when so that we can tell you what the rules are. Because until that happens right now, it's just more mud they're throwing at the wall to see what sticks.
It's going to be a lot more mud, especially with AB 1482 in the mix. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
We are in some very uncharted waters right now.
Yes. And for those of you that need to disclose to your tenants that you're exempt from 1482, COVID did not extend that time period that we had to notify our tenants that we're exempt. So doing that today, rather than waiting till tomorrow, is the best business practice.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to do that, okay? I will choke you. There's no reason you should have rent control if you don't have to, okay? It's not fun, trust me.
Not fun.
Anything else? What about touring? Are you doing virtual tours? We've had some people that are actually doing touring through the property and then uploading it to YouTube. And when somebody wants to rent a vacant unit, they're actually applying by doing it virtually rather than physically to avoid exposure. What are your thoughts on that, Kristy?
We have actually been doing both as a company. We have created some Matterport videos so that way they're able to take a true walk through the unit. They're able to put in furniture and they can see how everything's going to fit. A lot of people still want to see it. We still want to feel it. In those cases, what we are doing is our team is unlocking the unit. We will meet the prospect at the property, but we are keeping that 6 feet distance. We have our mask on, and we are walking them through from the 6 foot distance. Now, I don't know about everyone else, but our leasing is up. COVID hasn't really pumped the brakes much on us. We still have a lot of essential workers who are working, and we still see a lot of movement here at Beachfront.
I think one of the concerns that our independent rental owners have is if I rent a unit in this time period and they move into my vacant, are they going to turn around and scream COVID and then I'm going to have to carry a loan and all these laws are going to apply? And I think that that's a little bit of a fear that we're having to deal with from a landlord and independent owner's perspective, is we're scared to move in a potential problem. But the reality is it's always a potential problem. You never know. Do your screening, screen. And the likelihood of it happening, in my opinion, because overall the tenants in the state of California, 95% of them are paying their rent. The likelihood of that happening is rather low, although it could happen. It could always happen. But in the event you are concerned that they are going to not pay their rent once they get in there, they do sell insurance. Eric from Reassure Rent offers default insurance. So for about $400 a year, give or take, you can get insurance that if your tenant doesn't pay the rent, they'll cover your loss of rents for 6 months, and they will also cover your legal fees up to $1,500. So if that's a concern of yours, please know that there's tools out there to help us get through those humps, okay?
Correct. And the other thing I would love to add is, remember, unemployment is a source of income. So we've had questions from some managers who ask about unemployment. We all have jobs right now, but we may not have jobs tomorrow. Same thing with unemployment. It is source of income. It is protected under California.
Fair housing. Yes.
Fair housing. So please, if you have an applicant who comes and they are receiving unemployment right now, if they're meeting your rental criteria, they're meeting your rental criteria, regardless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The same thing applies if you're renting to an attorney or a property manager. We can't discriminate on source of income either. So for those of us that don't want to rent to attorneys, too bad, so sad. We have to treat everybody the same. I get a lot of those questions. Do I have to rent to them? If they meet your criteria, absolutely. Otherwise, you could be held accountable for some sort of a discriminatory action. Kristy's going, yes. I agree.
Yes, yes.
Yuri, do we have any? Oh, go ahead, Kristy.
Sorry, I did just see a question pop up in regards to
Go ahead.
unemployment. Unemployment is temporary, but so is every other job.
Yep.
We're all employees, so we may have it now, we may not have it later. And my suspicion is that the additional $600 a week will most likely get extended. That's just my opinion. It'll probably go a couple more months past July. And again, we have a lot of people who aren't in a hurry. My daughter is one. She's not in a hurry to go back to work. She's making double.
Neither's mine. Yeah, neither's mine.
So, which allows these folks to stockpile some money into savings, which they'll be able to pay rents with for the term of their lease at least, and hopefully longer than that.
Exactly. Or maybe they'll put up enough of a deposit or save up enough of a deposit that they'll be purchasing a home. I mean, security and comfort is a tool that all of us utilize to help us sleep better at night, right?
Definitely.
Most definitely. Okay, Hootie, what kind of questions do we have?
In a cash for keys situation, does a tenant still have 2 weeks to store their personal property if they have vacated the unit?
If they have vacated the unit, then they left personal items behind, then I wouldn't give them a cash for keys check because technically that unit isn't vacated. Paying attention? So in other words, in order for you to get the check from me, your house has to be broom swept. Does that make sense to everybody? Now they're gonna play with you. They're gonna say things like, I need some of the money so I could use it for a deposit somewhere else. They're gonna try to manipulate that. Know that any money you give them could be considered gone. You could just be giving them money and then have to turn around and evict them anyway, even though you gave them that money because they didn't go as they agreed. Enforcing a bad cash for keys offer is still eviction process, just so you understand. So what the cash for keys does is it gives you a way to terminate the relationship and sever the relationship, avoiding the legal process, for lack of a better way to put it. And there is a risk involved. The risk is if you give them the money and they don't go, you still have to evict. And please note that only a licensed real estate agent or a broker or an agent working under a broker or an attorney or the owner themselves should be the ones doing a cash for keys agreement unless you're in an on-site type of position, because then you're still protected under real estate law. But you don't want to have your friend go negotiate it for you because they're not an agent. It could cause more trouble than it's worth. Okay, just trying to help protect you. This is something you want to handle, have your attorney handle, or a licensed agent handle for you. As far as cash for keys.
This is related. Someone says, but if they have a move out report, keeping the check is not okay, right?
I'm trying, so basically, I'm assuming here that you do your move out inspection, and I'm not sure what the person's asking, so I need a little bit more clarity. Either that or can you unmute them really quick if they're willing?
One sec.
Okay. I know I'm making you work. I'm sorry. I tend to do that.
Okay.
You don't have a mic.
Elena
Yeah.
is, oh, no mic yet. Okay.
Okay, so
try rephrasing the question. Meanwhile, we'll go to another one.
perfect.
How has your screening criteria changed for units that are currently leasing versus pre-COVID?
I don't have any changes. Do you, Kristy?
We don't have any changes.
Yep, business as usual.
Water, it's business as usual. If you change because of COVID, that could be considered discrimination. So business as usual. We're just swimming right now, just swimming.
Yep, error on the side of caution. Don't enforce late fees. Don't enforce non-payment of rent. Don't terminate tenancy. And what's my other one? I have 4.
Termination
Don't terminate tenancy. Don't increase rent. Don't
These
enforce
charges.
non-payment. Yeah.
Right.
Non-renewals, don't even go there. It's bad. We don't know the temperature of that water, so don't go jump in it, okay? That's the best way I could explain it. Just
Right.
back off and wait. Hurry up and wait.
That's where
What
we're
else
at
do we
right
got?
now.
Okay, do
Yes,
we have
keep
to
on
give
swimming, yes.
do we have to give new COVID-19 notice to all tenants in Los Angeles City by today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would
Where
suggest
can they find this notice?
any one of the apartment associations has that available, so does the LARSO. And basically it's notifying tenants of their rights during COVID. Do not fear that by you notifying them of what their rights are, it's gonna open Pandora's box, because the reality of it is 95% of them are already paying their rent. They're not gonna stop now unless they have something happen in their life. For the most part, tenants understand that money is still due and they don't want to get behind because it's more difficult to catch up once you get behind.
And also keep your proof of service.
Bingo.
Important. Keep your proof of service.
Yes. So
Does this
serve
only
the
apply
notice,
to LA County?
LA City,
At least-
not LA County, LA City.
Should
So
we
make
still
sure
be
you're-
serving the yearly RSO SEP notices for the additional charges? Do you have a good form we can use?
The annual rent increase, there are no rent increases allowed right now at all. So the answer to that is no. We're not increasing rent, we're not charging any late fees, and we're not charging them any fees, fines, or penalties for the COVID loan period. Okay, remember, the when hasn't happened yet, so we don't know when that is going to be lifted. So we got another one?
Okay. Let's see.
He's asking about the annual admin fee. The notices are supposed to be mailed out by August 1st.
Yes, and that one is, yeah, I don't see an issue with that at all whatsoever, of notifying them of their admin fee increase or SCEP fees as a pass through. If you've always done it, then keep it that way. But as far as doing any increases or adding any charges for plumbing or things of that nature, I'm going to suggest you contact your legal counsel before you even play with attempting to collect something you haven't collected monthly in the past as a routine. So if you're doing your rubs, continue to do that. Continue to do your business as you normally are doing your business, except for rent increases, non-payment enforcement. I already forgot.
Lease
I'm
break
so bad.
fees.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you're fortunate enough that your tenant says, I'm moving out, here's the keys. This is what you say to them. Thank you so much. I have 21 days to return your deposit, and continue business as normal. If they owed you rent during that time period, then include that in the disposition of security deposit. I mean, definitely something that we need to stay on top of is just keeping that flow moving, because like I said, we will be inundated with work orders once this shelter-in-place order is lifted. Trust and believe that. They just don't want to be bothered right now. We got more questions?
There are no additional new questions. Anybody has any other questions?
Can we unmute people in case they want to ask us something specifically?
Sure, we can unmute everybody.
Okay, great. It's time to turn on the air conditioner here. It's hot. I see you have a question, Ed.
Yeah.
He's in the process of getting everybody unmuted.
I see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to ask about the disclosure regarding rent control. Can you discuss
Okay.
that a little bit more? Do you have that notice? When does it have to be sent out by?
Yes, what you're speaking of is AB 1482, and it has to do with the statewide rent control initiative that passed in January. What you
Right.
need to do is, if you are exempt from rent control, you must notify your tenants of that exemption by July 31st. Otherwise, you will have rent control by failing to disclose that you're exempt. So it's a very expensive, costly error. I got a feeling legislators are banking on the fact that owners won't know that they have to disclose that they're exempt, just so that there's more people susceptible to the rent control ordinance. So your apartment association should have that information for you. As far as disclosing, it needs to be in 10-point font. It has to have specific language. It's not a letter you can write yourself. Very important that you know that it's actually a legal disclosure.
Somebody there?
Thank you. So I'm assuming that the letter that they have is going to be in the 10-point font and everything.
Oh, yes, from the apartment associations, yes. Also, your legal counsel should be able to provide you with that as well.
Certificate
And
of
if you
mailing.
really want to be creative, you could pull up the bill and copy it verbatim because the verbiage is in there, but that scares me.
Yeah. And then a certificate of mailing for that, Patty?
Absolutely. I would do a proof of service, just like you would serve any other document. That's
Yeah.
what's recognized by a court of law.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem.
I have another question since nobody else is jumping up.
Okay.
So I have these two tenants that are fighting. It's a back unit and a front unit. I've already discussed this with you offline, but it seems like there's nothing that's going to stop these two from fighting. And in our previous meeting today, you mentioned that we cannot do 3-day cure or quit. And so I'm like a painter coming to paint a wall, and I don't have a paintbrush. I'm like a cop who doesn't have a gun and handcuffs. What am I supposed to do? Huh?
I'm going to have Kristy step in on this one because she sits on the fair housing. She's involved in fair housing. So
Yeah.
let's have her give us a solid answer for this.
Thank you.
What I would recommend is doing a mediation with the two and give them the opportunity to move if they're truly unhappy in their homes.
We have tried that. Sorry for interrupting you. We have tried that. This has been going on for a very long time. It is a rent-controlled property, so I have no way of ending their tenancy. And it's just,
Yes, you do. It's just not easy.
Yeah, you'd have to pay them relocation costs and all that, and the owner is not willing to pay that or do that. So we're stuck with tenants who are cats and dogs.
It would technically be a lease violation. They're ruining the quiet enjoyment
Right?
of another. So I would definitely get with your legal counsel. We're in uncharted waters right now. I would wait till these emergency orders are lifted.
Mhm.
Your attorney, and they're gonna have to move, unfortunately. Remember, to us, it's only 4 white walls. To them, it's a home. Kind of play good cop, bad cop. I'm not trying to take away your home, but this is ruining the quiet enjoyment. What do you do to move forward?
The issue with that is, and obviously we thought about that as well, like doing a 3-day cure or quit prior to the pandemic coming into play. But it's a duplex. It's a front unit and a back unit. So there's no other witnesses, right? If it was happening in like a 15-unit property and one of the tenants was being noisy, then I would have witnesses. But here it's one person's word against the other person's word, and I'm kind of stuck in a rut because of that.
What about neighbors? Does it sit on an acreage by itself, or is there other neighbors?
No, there are neighbors. I could reach out to the neighboring properties, but they haven't reached out to me about any issues. They haven't said anything, so I don't know.
Has there been calls of service?
calls for the police, you mean?
Yes.
There's pictures they sent me. So they installed video cameras against each other. It's really
Modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord. It's a violation of the lease contract.
So her response was, "Do I not have a right to protect myself because I'm afraid of the?"
That's not protection.
Yeah.
Video cameras are not protection. They're surveillance.
Right. Yeah.
That's
so I
it.
told her she already had a camera back there, and I guess the back tenant didn't mind that camera, but I guess she minds this camera. It's a whole mess. It's one
I
against
don't
the other.
understand why you would want to live somewhere where you're unhappy that you feel as if you want
Because
to.
they have rent control and they don't want to lose their low rents. One of them is paying $750 to live in the middle of LA in a prime location. This is all rent controls doing.
But they're affecting the right to quiet enjoyment of their neighbor by arguing with them. So they're both in violation of their contract.
So evict them both.
I'm not telling you to evict. Obviously, contact your legal counsel, but you can serve notice against them both. But you, not right now. Remember,
I
LA
understand.
City,
I understand.
LA City Municipal Code changed some things. Don't do it right now. You gotta
I'm
wait
very
for the
aware
win.
of that. I'm trying to
Okay.
manipulate in a cordial manner and just say, look, you guys are complaining against each other. I have, if she
I'm
complained
gonna
about
have
the
to
camera-
do my job. I'm
Right.
gonna have to do my job.
Yeah, but I'm not threatening them. I'm just saying, look, the neighbor in front is asking you to move your trash bins because it's blocking their garage. The neighbor in the back is asking you to move the camera, is asking to move the trash, not put trash bags out because it could cause
questions that throughout this that you're like, hey, I really would love to have a one-on-one session. Just go ahead and send an email out to me or, to ask Crystal at icwm.com. Or you can go ahead and
Who do
just
you
reach
mute 'em?
out to Victor, which is looking for.
I love it.
What was that? I missed something, but okay.
No. Someone else was talking. They weren't muted and they were
Okay.
talking, but it wasn't in our group, so it's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Yeah. So it's one against the other. I can't serve 3-day to cure quits. So I'm being very cordial about it. I'm just kind of asking them, hey,
Well,
can you do this?
I would let them know that if they don't find a way to work this out amongst themselves amicably, I can't, not today. It's not coming out of my mouth. Within reason with each other, you're going to have no choice but to enforce the terms of the lease contract, which clearly states they cannot break the right of quiet enjoyment.
Yeah. Okay.
And by
It's
fighting
just
and
because of the
arguing,
COVID that I can't act on it immediately. But yeah.
bingo.
Yep.
Should I let them know that? Should I say, hey, because they're expecting immediate responses, immediate solutions, and I'm kind of stuck. There's nothing I can do right this moment other than ask.
And when you can do something, unfortunately, it's going to affect both of them if they can't work this out.
Right.
Because you can't discriminate.
Exactly.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I had my tenant has been not laid up, but she's getting just 20 hours a week. And she says she will not be able to make June's payment. However, she did go to unemployment and could not get the unemployment. So she says because of that, she cannot pay the rent for June. Secondly,
Wait, what city is this in, sir?
in the city of Fontana.
Okay, that's fine. Keep talking.
And so anyway, of course she said, well, she can't pay the rent in June. Now, I haven't served the papers that are here, or was it 14 something or other?
The COVID.
The COVID. So now can I serve that myself?
Hold on. Which papers are you speaking of?
The notice of Carias related inability to pay rent.
For her to fill out.
For her to fill out.
It's not a requirement in the city that you're in.
Oh.
So as nicely as I could say this, she's told you that she can't pay the rent in June. That's
Correct.
fine. If it were me, because I can't give you legal advice, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not an attorney.
Correct.
So if it were me, this is what I would do. I would say, thank you so much for letting me know. Can you let me know when you'll be able to pay that back? because the reality of it is we have to give them a loan. And you're in the city of Fontana. I believe that's 6 months. I could be wrong.
You're right.
Kristy's nodding her head. That's San Bernardino County, so it's 6 months. You're gonna have to give her a loan for 6 months, regardless, with no late fees, no fines, no penalties. And then once the order to shelter in place is lifted and we don't have to shelter in place anymore, then your regular rent becomes due as scheduled. So let's say that she can't pay June and they lift this starting July 1st. She's gonna owe July 1st rent, and you're gonna have to hold June for 6 months before you can enforce her to pay it.
Oh, okay. And,
Okay?
and
No
then-
late fees, no fines, no anything. Just say thank you as nicely as you can and keep me posted as to when you can make payments.
So
That is
how-
the best business course of action.
So how long can she do this? Can she do this for,
6 months.
that's it?
The municipalities, meaning the city, okay, here's how I could explain it to you as simply as I could say it. When COVID happened, the governor slapped a Band-Aid on the whole state of California and said, nobody can evict, nobody can foreclose, yada, 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 until I lift this moratorium. Moratorium means temporary law, okay? And what he did is he gave all the municipalities the power to write their own moratorium. In English, what that means is he let each individual city and or county, however they wanted to do it, make their own rules on the repayment of those loans. For the city of Fontana, you're at 6 months. So
Okay.
your moratorium has been made and your rules are those tenants have 6 months to pay that rent back. So far for June's, we're not in June yet. So if they lift this moratorium May 1st and she can't pay the rent in June, that has no effect with COVID if it's lifted before June 1st. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're waiting for the when to happen.
Okay.
The when is when they lift the moratorium, because that's going to tell us a lot of things. Okay. But for now, as nicely as you could, just tell her thank you for communicating in that with me. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of us owners who our tenants won't even communicate with us. They won't answer the door. They won't respond to a notice. They won't pick up the phone. They won't. So because your tenant is telling you, keep that line of communication open, be as nice and ginger as you can about it, and very relax. Thank you for letting me know. If you're not promising them anything, you're erring on the side of caution. So thank you for letting me know that you're having difficulty paying the rent. I appreciate the heads up. Can you let me know when you're going to be able to pay that, or how you're going to pay it back? Will it be in monthly installments over the next 6 months? How do you intend on paying this money?
Okay.
And be as nice as pie as you can about it, because remember, there's more laws protecting them than there are protecting you. And if that were you and you were in that unit with your kids, how would you want to be treated? That has a key role when we're dealing with this as an independent owner and an independent property versus corporate America, where we're trained like what Kristy does and teaches us how to act and do these things on the daily basis. When you take an independent owner and you put them in that scenario, all I could tell you guys is be as nice as pie. Don't promise anything. And if you need to, use your fogging techniques. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I'll let my business partner know. What does that do? It buys you time without you saying the wrong thing.
Okay. So,
And also, I would,
Kristy's gonna pop in. Come on, Kristy. What you got?
I would also let them know that you understand that they're not able to pay all of the rent up front.
uh-huh.
They would like to make small payments now that will help them in the long run, because you would hate for the 6 months to come up. We're going to be in the holidays at that point, and then have to ask them for all of their rents. So if they can start making payments of $25 a week, that is chipping away at their balance when the time comes. So it's kind of that good cop, bad cop. We understand. We have a lot of residents, especially in LA County, that have been affected by COVID. We just don't want the rents to pile up on them, so then they come due and we're still asking for possession of the home back. We don't want to do that. We want to work with them and make this as easy as possible, because everybody is stressed out right now. Can you pay $25? Great. It's chipping away at that balance that you owe us.
So if they're making $25 a week payments or whatever it is, can this keep on prolonging and prolonging and prolonging?
For the
Just
6 months, they have the 6 months to pay you off.
Okay.
So if they miss
Then
June's
I
rent,
can commence eviction process?
correct.
Most
But if-
likely, we're going to tell you to talk to your legal counsel because
Got it.
Kristy and I are a lot of things,
Right.
and together we're stronger, but we're not attorneys. But
All righty, thank you.
You're
no
welcome.
problem. Do we have anyone else?
Yeah, this is Karen. Hello, this is Karen White. How you doing?
I'm good.
Can you hear me? I have two questions because now I'm thoroughly confused on some things, okay?
Okay.
All right, there are two forms, to my understanding, two notifications that need to go out to our tenants. Now, I'm not in the city of Los Angeles, and it's my understanding that this notification, and I can't tell you what the name of it is, the notification that's supposed to be given May 27th, doesn't really apply to me because I'm not in the city of Los Angeles. Am I correct? Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's another one that was supposed to go out July 1st, I think. Let me close this door. July 1st, that everyone is supposed to have. I guess it's the exempt, or is that the notification that you're exempt is the 27th? That's that one.
That's Assembly Bill 1482. That's in regards to the statewide rent control. And that's the notice we're telling you to serve now. They're not extending our time period to disclose to the tenants if we're exempt. So I'm telling you guys, come on, we ain't got nothing else to do. Go disclose that you're exempt from rent control, okay? Do it now before you forget, because if you forget, you're gonna have rent control, and that's an expensive mistake.
So if I am not exempt, they still have to.
Then you do nothing.
I don't have to do anything. 'Cause
Bingo.
I believe the city of Compton is covered under just the state law now, because we used to fly under the radar for rent control until the governor put that state AB 1482 in place.
If you're under the city's municipality, then you still fall under the city's municipality.
Okay, but
If you don't, if you're exempt from the city, then the state then you have to comply with the state. But if the city controls you, you have to stay that way.
Oh, okay, because we have no rent control in the city of Compton. There isn't any.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't, all right. So I don't have to get.
You have, hold on, let me ask you a few questions. Is this a single family residence?
No, it's a multi-unit. It's 4 units. I mean, it's 4.
So you have rent control. If you
6
don't
units.
have it through the city, you have it through the state. So you don't have to do anything. You have rent control.
Okay, great. Yeah, the state picked us up.
How old is the building? Is it over 15 years?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
built.
then you
Yeah.
have rent control.
Okay.
I
yeah.
hate
With
to
the
tell
state.
you, but you do.
under the AB 1482 this year.
Correct.
Okay, so I was aware of that, but I don't have to serve this form.
You don't have to do anything. You don't
Okay.
have to pass go. You don't have to collect $200. You don't have to do anything.
Excellent. I love it. Okay, now there's another notification that you spoke of prior to that was due July 1st, I believe.
That's what we're talking about, 1482.
Okay, so it's the same thing?
Yes,
Okay, so I don't have to do anything. We're
correct,
covered. Okay.
correct.
All right.
As long as it's in your leases, you don't have to do anything. But if you haven't implemented it into all of your leases, AB 1482 verbiage was supposed to be implemented in all of our leases by January 1st. If you haven't implemented that in all of your leases, even for your month-to-month folks, you do have to still notify them by the 1st of August that you're not exempt.
Oh, okay. Okay, I have to do that because I have four of them that have been in there for over 10 years, and the other 2 I gave them the new, well, one's vacant and the other one I gave the new lease as of November of last year. So they're under the new lease.
No, if you didn't change your verbiage in that November lease, because the verbiage had to be changed by January 1st,
Okay.
you have to include them and serve them.
Everybody. Okay, so I still have to get, okay, so now I'm confused again. I got to give everybody the notification in.
Correct.
Okay.
That they have, that you're susceptible to rent control, yes. But
okay.
not until August 1st.
August 1st, excellent. Okay, that's the
But
one.
I'd do it now and just be done with
I
it.
am, you know, I am. Okay, and like I said, the new person, once I get my vacant unit leased out, then I'll make sure that they have that form, and they'll be covered under it, per se. I'll give them
Yes.
Right.
Okay. The second question that I have that's confusing well, it's not confusing. What is the difference, and this is simple, what is the difference of deposit and security deposit? Is that two different things, or do you include that? I've got to figure out, once I take this new application, when I rent this vacant unit out, is there a deposit and a security deposit taken, or is it just one amount that you request as a deposit and the security is included in that? Does that make sense?
A deposit means it's refundable,
Yeah.
okay? So if we're talking about
Okay, wait a minute.
their
Going in and out.
okay, a deposit is refundable, okay? So
Okay.
if we're talking about the security deposit that holds the unit for them until they move in, and then also we hold that money throughout the tenancy for damages, then that's their security deposit. And California state law says that it can't be more than double the amount of the rent on a vacant unit or triple the amount of the rent on a furnished unit. Now that does get a little tricky with active military, because they just passed a new law. Kristy's nodding her head. They just passed a new law in January stating that if you are active military, you're only allowed to collect 1 month's rent as a security deposit as a maximum. So if they are active military, you can only collect 1 month's rent as a deposit. If they're not military, you can collect up to 2 months' rent as a deposit on a vacant unit. Or if it is fully furnished, couch, table, bed, everything, then you can charge 3 times the amount of the deposit. That is the state law. So whether it's a pet deposit, a key deposit, a house deposit, a security deposit, lump it all together and call it a deposit. Once you define the deposit for something like a pet, and the pet doesn't do any damage, but the tenant fixes motorcycles in the living room and it's full of oil and everything else, you still have to give the pet deposit back because the pet didn't do that damage.
Right.
So don't define the deposit. Just call it additional deposit and lump it all together so that you can allocate it wherever you need to.
Okay, so so for example, on a unfurnished apartment, I can collect up to, let's just say, collect up to 2 months deposit, right?
Yes,
Okay. So
yes.
when I ask for this, I'll say 2 months deposit and an additional X amount for security deposit. Up to,
No.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's say let's say 1 month's deposit with an additional X amount of dollars for security deposit, long as it doesn't exceed that 2 months.
Why not just all call it a security deposit and lump it all together?
Okay, but you said that the security deposit, the deposit is refundable, and a security deposit is not.
No,
Deposits
deposits are refundable.
Okay.
Fees are not.
Fee, okay.
So if you charge a pet fee or an application fee, fees are not refundable. Deposits are.
All
So
right.
anytime you're dealing with the security deposit or the deposit on the property, that's all refundable and it should all be lumped together.
Okay, lumped together. All right, that's what I needed to find out. Those
All
separate-
right,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
I have a question going back to the RSO and SCEP pass-through. The RSO now this year, we can't collect it in one lump sum. It has to be spread out over the 12 months. That's the $1.61. And then
Yes.
the SCEP is the normal $3.61. Now we give notices for these each year. Are we giving the notice this year?
At this point, yes, because it's process and procedure as normal, and this isn't any new fee that's being struck on the tenant.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
This is normal. This is just like you doing the rubs for their water bill on a multifamily community or something along this. This is something that's been happening to them the entire time. It's not something new.
Okay, do you have a good form? Because I have a difficult time finding good forms for these notices.
There's some great resources out there for you. They're going to involve your apartment associations. AGLA has some good forms. California Apartment Association has good forms. Southern Cities has good forms. It just depends on who your apartment association is.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I see a thing coming.
Teresa, we have Teresa Home that has the question.
Okay.
Am I on now?
Yes.
You're
Can
on.
you
We
hear me?
hear you.
Sorry. I'm really getting confused on the AOA USA, the COVID forms. I live in one side of the duplex. I moved back in. It was built in 2002. I'm not under rent control, am I?
You live in the other unit?
Yes.
You would
I
be
moved in
exempt. You would be exempt from 1482, but are you governed by the city that you're in?
City of Los Angeles, 90012.
And what year was your unit built?
The certificate of occupancy was 2002, 2003. And I only paid the SEP fees. I call it HCID. I just paid the SEP fees, and they said, and I didn't pay RSO, and they said I'm not under RSO.
Right. So from what you're telling me, you're after 1978. That would exempt you from the city's ordinance, and then the state's ordinance 1482 would take over. But because you live in the other unit, you would be exempt from 1482. So it sounds to me, off the top of my head, like you need to pass the exemption that you're not susceptible to rent control.
Oh, crap. Oh.
No, that's a good thing. Don't complain.
Oh.
Not
No.
having rent control is a good thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting all confused. So I have to serve that 1482 form.
That you're exempt, yes.
Then I'm exempt. Okay. I'll look on the AOA USA. I'm not sure.
Yes, you want an exemption letter, and then you don't have rent control anywhere that I can pinpoint during this conversation.
Okay. And what COVID forms am I supposed to serve by today? I didn't know that. I mean, there's one that says if you can't pay, I have it.
Are you in the city of Los Angeles?
90012, yes. Dodger Stadium, yes.
Okay, the city's moratorium required that you notify tenants of what their rights are. The drop dead date for that is today. AOA has that notification from the city. I would get that served to your tenants today and keep a proof of service in your file so that you can protect yourself in the future.
There's no
and Kristy nodding her head, yes.
This COVID form I have here, is it an updated letter one, or there's no number on this COVID form? There's one that said updated letter.
I would call AOA and just verify what notice you need, because I'm not familiar, and this is different from the old one that we were supposed to disclose. This is a new disclosure.
Oh, I see there's a new one. There's no form. Okay. I have no way to make a copy, a Xerox copy. How do I only have my iPad, and I don't know how to make a hard copy. If you have to do a hard copy, you just can't email it to them.
Correct. So you would need to print that out and serve that to them. The other thing that you could do is, you know how everybody's talking about keeping your favorite restaurant in business right now and going and buying a gift card from them? You may want to consider doing the same thing for your legal counsel, because they're not making any money right now either. So with that being said, if you want them to be there for you 6 months from now might be a great time to hire them to serve these notices for you to help you out, just to keep them in business. Okay? Just saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You mean the
Attorneys,
AOA?
attorneys eat too. Well, what I'm saying is whoever your attorney is, whether it be Kimball Tyree in St. John, Fast Eviction Service, Michael Brennan, help me out here because I know there's a bunch of them out there. You can call them and they'll serve this for you for a fee, and that helps keep their doors open. The courts are closed right now. The courts are closed. They can't make any money. They are starving just like our restaurants. Okay, so please keep that in mind.
Oh, okay. I don't have one on call, and this other legal service I had didn't specialize in. I got rid of them because they didn't even know anything. They didn't even know the rental stuff. Okay.
Well, I definitely call Fast Eviction Service. They are one of the least expensive law firms in California, and they should be able to help you relatively inexpensively.
If I serve it not today because I can't print out by today, then I'm in deep trouble, right?
Right. So if you call your law firm and have them do it, they can serve all the way up to midnight and have it count.
Oh, okay. What other forms am I, besides this COVID form and this 1482, what else am I, as of today, required to serve?
At this time, as of today, and that could change tomorrow, I don't see anything else that you're required to do at this time. And Kristy's nodding her head yes.
Okay, and we can't serve, like, if they're violating, not paying the parking fee and all that, there's nothing, a separate parking fee, there's nothing I can do, right? They won't pay the parking fee. They haven't.
Well, here's the thing. Is your parking fee on your rental contract? Because if so, it's part of your rental agreement and it falls under COVID. If it's not part of that, then it isn't an agreement. It's actually a license to park, and a different type of law applies. And you could pursue that probably faster than the COVID, but what are you getting? A parking spot back? Why bother? You know what I mean? So in all reality, the best thing to do right now for enforcement of rents is to contact your legal counsel and ask them what your options are. Because I'll be honest with you, your hands are pretty tied right now.
Yes, I agree. I don't want to. It's a separate parking agreement, and he's kind of ignored me, and he's got 3 cars instead of 1, and sort of telling me to go shove it. It just ignores me.
Well, I would talk to your legal counsel about how that was all acquired and how those documents are written to see what your recourse is.
One of our
okay, thanks. So, okay.
Someone else has a question?
One of our tenants said that she had heard that landlords were going to get $300 from President Trump
From the mortgage companies.
from the mortgage company. Is that true? Untrue?
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't find anything about that anywhere.
Okay, so this is what I have to tell you for right now. You're gonna hear a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But until the win happens, that's when we're gonna know what all the rules are. So tenants may be reaching for straws. Tenants may be trying to tell you what the rules are just because you don't know. And they may be using that to their advantage. So be careful with that type of thing. We don't want to act until we have some teeth behind us. So at this point, it's better to keep quiet.
Great.
Error on the side of caution. Tell them thank you. Do we have someone else with, we'll take one more question and then we'll end this for today because I know some of us have things to do, but I can't encourage you guys enough. Please join us on Friday. I'm doing a webinar called Ask Me Anything. You do get a discount if you're a Widget's Way member, and it's pretty much Ask Me Anything from leasing to dispositions to showing your vacants to process and procedure, whatever it is you need, ask me anything and you get to pick my brain, okay? It's a lot of fun. I've done one before with Kristy actually, when she was at AGLA, I think, and our Ask Me Anything, I wanna say went like 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. We had a lot of people wanting to know. And it's funny because people come and they learn and they sit there and listen and they learn with other people's questions. So it's actually very informative in a big bubble of just property management in general. Okay, one more question. Do we have anybody that has something that they just got to know the answer to?
Okay, it looks like Pete. It looks like Pete. I am unmuting you now. Go ahead and hit unmute, Pete. There you are.
Everybody at home now, a lot of people are ordering from Amazon, and so I'm getting a lot of like complaints that packages are missing, and so I'm building my fence up taller, my front fence, so people can't reach over or climb over and steal the packages as easy. And is it okay if I text everybody and tell them I'm putting a lockbox out there? If they want to put a key in the lockbox to give to Amazon or UPS, they can.
You can make a package drop-off area if that's, I missed the first part of your question. I know my moderator was trying to mute somebody and pull you up louder, but now that we hear you better, can you just ask the question one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, with everybody at home, a lot of people are starting to order stuff from Amazon.
Me too.
They're saying, hey, me too. And they're starting to get complaints about packages missing. I mean, my place is on a busy street, so people are hopping over the fence and stealing packages, I guess. So I'm building a taller fence, but then Amazon won't be able to get in the fence. So, so can I put a lockbox out front and just give the tenants the code and tell them they can put keys in there for Amazon and UPS to get the lock, open up the gate themselves?
Absolutely. And as an owner, I think it's very admirable that you are trying to resolve their issue, because technically it's a them problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're building a great relationship with your tenants by listening to their complaints and trying to be proactive, which is a very good business practice, just so you know.
Great.
The more you do stuff like that, the less likely you are to be dragged through the coals of a frivolous eviction for months upon months at end, just so you know.
Okay, when's that next webinar with more questions? Because I have more questions.
I'm doing that this Friday, actually. It's called Ask Me Anything, and you can sign up for that right on Widget's Way.
Great, thanks.
No problem. Well, I look forward to seeing you on Friday. I believe I'm doing that at 2. Is it 2 or is it noon?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on Friday. Perfect. Anybody else? Hootie, if we don't have anybody, we'll go ahead and end this. I know Kristy has something else she needs to get to.
It looks like we have one. We'll have one more. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just asking if the property is in the city of Los Angeles and it's just a single family residence, are you required to send out the COVID-19 fact sheet by today, May 27th, or is it just for, if it's multiple units?
Kristy, are you talking?
It's everyone.
Thank you. It's
Any
everyone
rental
within any residential rentals within the city of Los Angeles, sir.
So all single family residences have to get the fact sheet.
All residential dwellings. So anything that is a rental that isn't commercial is required.
What about roommates?
No, roommates are not applicable.
As long as you serve a notice to the unit as a whole, you're notifying the unit as a whole.
If I also live with roommates?
If you're renting out a room in your single family dwelling, no.
It's a duplex.
But you are asking if you need to serve your roommates in the unit you occupy?
Yes.
No.
No.
Great. Great.
As far as I'm reading, rent control, both AB 1482 and City of Los Angeles does not apply to a roommate scenario as long as the unit is notified. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys, we'll go ahead and end this for today. Thank you, Kristy, for joining us. I love having you here. It makes us feel like we're not alone, and we hope you come back and join us again soon.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I loved all and I appreciate and love you.
Oh, you're so sweet. All right, you guys, we'll go ahead and end this for today. And again, come back and see me on Friday at 2 o'clock. We're doing Ask Me Anything with Widget, and it should be quite exciting and a little bit entertaining because, you know, hey, I get to be me for a couple hours. All right, you guys have a great day. And please, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. That's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Bye.